Welcome to Plead the Facts presented by KI Legal. On today's episode, KI Legal co-founder Michael Iakovou and partner Socrates Xanthopoulos are joined by Eugenia Valliades, real estate agent on the Michael Lorber team at Douglas Elliman Real Estate, to discuss market updates and trends in the East End.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Plead the Facts. I'm Mike, it's my partner Socrates Xanthopoulos, and we are joined
Eugenia
Valliades from the Michael Lorber team, Douglas Elliman. Eugenia, it's been a crazy year in real estate generally, but I'm assuming luxury real estate has been impacted in different ways than, say, other asset classes of real estate have been to date. Thank you so much for coming on. We really want to get into it, and you're an expert out on the East End of Long Island, some of the nicest real estate in the world. And I'm proud to say that I also know you. We've worked together in a professional capacity, definitely knows her stuff. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So on that note, I always like to start with nuts and bolts, like what's been going on in the luxury market out on the East End of Long Island?
So we have seen a shift. It's somewhere in the middle between a buyer and a seller market now, so it's become more balanced. The inventory remains still at an all-time low, but transactions are happening, deals are happening, however, they're occurring at a much slower rate than they were, let's say, a year ago. So for buyers, I'm saying this is your opportunity to get in. It's not as competitive. And for sellers, it's still actually a great time to sell because the inventory is still low. And the desire for home ownership in the Hamptons is still strong. So the market's stronger there.
Are these buyers still seeking financing given the increased interest rates and just the state of the market where we find it right now?
Yeah, some are still seeking, financing, but there's also a handful of people that are also
cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on that point, I remember clients that were out there looking if people always seek financing to the extent that they can, but even on that, they were non-contingent deals, right? You didn't even want to utter the word contingency to a listing agent because they had about 10 other people that were willing to make offers above ask, and I think it's healthy that we've seen this rebalancing of buyer and seller leverage, because that's what a true healthy market is, where deals need to be made. And what I've always maintained is when you go and you make a deal, you negotiate irrespective of what you're selling. It could be this pen. If you got everything that you wanted in the deal, that's probably not a good deal for the other side, right? So both parties need to kind of walk away having given up on a couple points, but for the most part, the pros outweigh the cons, right? That's a good, healthy deal.
Are you still seeing those contingencies, by the way? Are they coming back to life, or are you still irked by them?
I see some of them.
Are sellers more willing to entertain them now?
Yeah, so there are still buyers that are going with non-contingent, and they are the ones, getting them.
Yeah.
Right. So I do still see that, and I've had a personal example with one of my own buyers, and so that still happens.
Yeah. You mentioned interest rates, and I know you're not a loan officer, but to the extent you can give us any color, where are you seeing these jumbo loans, rate-wise? Are they 6, 7, 8, 9%? A lot of these are secondary homes, right? Vacation homes. So
yeah. So there's also more negotiating power because of the rates too. So I've seen that also. But yeah, it is a secondary market, so it's a little bit delayed.
Again, on that point, secondary market, during COVID, we saw that secondary market become a primary market for a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people, right? That were saying, I'm out of here, I'm leaving Queens, I'm leaving Brooklyn, I'm leaving the city, and I'm going out to the East End. Are we still seeing that to any extent, or has that totally dried up?
So what I'm seeing is that people are looking for certain traits in their secondary home because they're actually spending more time there, where it's more an all year round place still. They're going there in the spring, they're going there for the holidays. It's not really a seasonal secondary
season.
home. Yeah, now it's become the all year home is that's the trend out there.
Yeah,
So
and that-
they're spending more time.
And I feel, again, I'm just a simple lawyer, but I feel like I've seen a lot of changes out of the East End the past decade, right? It is a four-season type environment. You have wineries that you can go to in the winter. You can also go to them in the summer, obviously. There's plenty. It's not just beach and going to the vineyards spring and summer. There's a lot of things, from pumpkin picking to apple picking to a lot of activities that young families love to do. The other thing that you said was low inventory. I feel like this is just the quintessential issue in not just New York, but this whole country. There's no inventory, there's no housing, right? Have you seen new developments come out or that are planned, either at a local, I guess, community council, things that are just like kind of in the pipeline coming down? Can you share any color on that?
Well, there's there's a new development in West Hampton by Beechwood. They're building 25 singular homes there behind the train station.
Oh, wow.
Because as you know, the Hamptons can't expand, and it's not like upstate New York where it's
A lot of vacant land.
yeah, in the Hamptons, it's an island and can't really get bigger. So they're doing that.
I did see some stuff on the North Fork in Mattatuck. I think that they're done, but there has been more homes being built there as well. It used to be the North Fork was like this little secret,
Right.
Yeah.
like where people were just like Hamptons, and then a lot of people, my family included, were like, "You guys go to the Hamptons. We're gonna go to Mattatuck and was it
Greenport.
yeah,
East Marion. Aquabog.
Yeah. So, well, I guess what are like the next neighborhoods that you feel are really primed to pop?
In the Hamptons or in
Yeah, give us both.
Within
Okay.
the Hamptons and outside.
Yeah, so within the Hamptons, I really think it all comes down to a preference for what people like. I see a little bit of an inclination towards Quogue and West Hampton because of the close proximity to Manhattan. So I see that getting more popular and up and coming.
Got it.
What about the, I guess, businesses around there? Has there been an influx of new businesses opening in the area to accommodate, I guess, the influx of people?
Yeah, especially since COVID, they had to open up like more doctor offices and, just like the
Restaurants,
basic
bars,
things
yeah.
that we would go to in Manhattan, like we really needed that out there, so.
What about hotels? I mean, I know zoning is a tremendous issue out there. They don't want things overbuilt, but have you seen new hotels open up in the last couple of years?
So there's one that just recently opened, it's called Canoe Place
Okay.
in Hampton Bays, it's so nice, and
They didn't sponsor this podcast.
it's so nice, it's a 5-star hotel, a boutique hotel with a spa and
I think I'll check it out.
yeah, so that just opened this past summer.
What do you say to, there's a lot of people out there that have been sitting on money. They sold their primary residence.
True.
Now they're renting, and they're just waiting for the right opportunity. They're thinking, prices are gonna fall or fall further. It's always doomsday in the news, right? Would you say that it's a smart strategy to continue waiting, or, it's not gonna get much lower than this, jump on any opportunity you could find now?
Yeah, so I don't, I wouldn't recommend waiting because it seems like then if everyone's waiting, then then the time comes and then the prices are gonna all go up again.
There's supply and demand.
So,
Yeah.
I never really, don't wait to buy real estate is like is my motto, but really I think it is a good time to get in, because, if you wait.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be more demand because a lot of people are gonna say, hey, let's wait, and then it's just naturally gonna drive the price up as you're dealing with more competition.
Right.
Just kind of going back to price adjustments, I guess percentage-wise, if you could, how have you seen prices adjusted downwards, if at all?
Yeah, so I haven't really seen anything drop substantially, and I don't anticipate that because it's such a luxury market and because the demand is still there in the Hamptons.
Sure.
And because the inventory is low. So I don't really, the Hamptons is a special place and I don't anticipate it ever dropping.
Are you still seeing the bidding wars that, we had in spring and summer 2021? Is that still at play, or has that cooled down?
It's cooled down a little bit, but I've actually experienced that myself recently with one of my buyers who's looking in East Hampton.
Did they win?
And they didn't. We're still on the search. But it is happening, so.
Let's kind of pivot off of the Hamptons a little bit and move north to the North Fork.
Yeah.
We touched on, Mattatuck, East Marion. What is like the up and coming neighborhood or area on the North Fork, in your opinion? Or you think that they've already they've all popped already?
Yeah, I think again, like it really comes down to like a preference for people. Some people have an inclination they want to be in Mattatuck. They're only going to look in Mattatuck. Some people, they don't like to be in Greenport because it's so far. Some people like it. It really comes down to just preference.
Southold as well.
Southold. Yeah, we didn't mention Southold. I've been out there a couple times. Very beautiful, but to your point, it's a bit farther, right?
Yeah, it's further out.
And Greenport. I remember me and you were touring some places back in the summer, and I was blown away as to how busy Greenport was. I think is it Main Street over there?
Yeah, the little town.
I mean, it was great, but I was like, I'm just in Brooklyn East right now. There was so many people and so many bars and whatever else.
Claudio's?
Yeah, we were by Claudio's.
Yeah. So to me, not as a first timer, but I hadn't been there in such a long time. I was like, I couldn't believe that it had been built up that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. I guess, what does 2023 look like in your opinion? Just, rate environment, Ukraine, all these crazy things going on in the world.
Yeah, so in the market, I do still think that it's going to be strong and people are going to be still continuing to buy because they do like a secondary home, and like I said, they're spending more time there, so they're really looking for special traits, and that's what their primary focus is.
Do you see a lot of existing owners out on the East End saying, maybe I should sell and kind of trade up to a bigger place? Is that something?
I've seen that, and I've also seen some downsizing because, there's some condo developments that they've built now in the Hamptons, and they're getting older. They don't want the maintenance and the.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, if you've been in the house for 20, 30 years, obviously you've seen a tremendous uptick in price. It is a good time to kind of sell before and I know you said that the market is kind of impervious to these massive influxes because of supply and whatever else, but that makes sense. What about taxes though? And I know it varies based on town and whatnot, but have you seen a big jump in property taxes?
Not really. The taxes are not really that high in the Hamptons.
They're not.
Relative to what?
Well, I grew up in Scarsdale where the taxes
Scarsdale
were
is expensive.
$75,000 a year.
Yeah.
So.
Peanuts,
yeah. But you can always grieve them, right? That's something that's.
You could after, I think, 2 years, but not if it's I don't think if it's a secondary home.
Got it.
So I really have to do my homework and check that before I say
and we don't do property grievances here at this firm, so, but reach out to us if you want, and we'll look into it for you.
The new developments that you mentioned, in the context of, current owners looking to downsize or, take advantage of, the current pricing, catch the top of the market. Are any of these developments like 55+ communities?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's one in West Hampton that's 55 and older, but the one that I have in mind that's in Southampton, that Beechwood built right by the town, right by the movie theater, and then there's one in Bridgehampton now too. There's no age requirement.
There was something that I just randomly thought about during COVID. I remember, and after just so many people again leaving the city trying to go out east, there was some pushback, we'll call it, from the year-round residents out in the Hamptons that I read about in the paper. You know, remember one was like with the airport, the helicopter usage, all that stuff. Has that kind of cooled down a little bit, or are there still
Like complaints?
complaints?
about
Correct.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I'm not sure. I know for my own personal buyers, there's complaints that they don't want the train noise, they don't want the, you know, there's a private airport by West Hampton,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah, that's the one I read
So,
about.
yeah, I think there's always gonna be people who are not.
So do you feel the East End is gonna, I mean, not even slowly, but become less secondary and more primary in terms of people just living out there year round?
Yeah, so there were people that stayed there from the pandemic and sent their kids to schools in East Hampton and in the Hamptons. So, and then there's the other group that came back to the city. So it's really a mix. And then the people that are using it as their secondary home are going there more.
Got it. Makes sense. So again, end of 2022, going into 2023, 2024, where do you see the East End of Long Island in the next, say, 24 to 36 months, 3 years?
So I think the market in the Hamptons is here forever, and I think it's a long-term smart investment. It cannot get bigger, so it's a strong market still, and it always will be. It's a very special place. Like I said, it's an island and it can't really expand. So it has beauty, sophistication, entertainment, like the Hampton Horse Classic Show, that's one example. And you are close proximity to Manhattan, so.
Especially if you have a helicopter, you can go back and forth in like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, so it's a
Have you ever
special.
have you ever flown? in a
No, I
helicopter?
haven't.
No, not yet.
My team does, but not me.
Right.
I was gonna say, can we borrow yours, but you let the cat out of the bag.
2023, she will have a helicopter.
Yes.
We're actually setting up that side business.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree with all those points. I think inventory, again, irrespective of what interest rates are doing, which again fluctuate, you know, it's one day rates are high, the next day they're low, but there's only so many houses, there's only so much land.
Right.
And you know, where it was that things were kind of secretive in other parts of the East End, like the North Fork, I think the last 24 to 36 months, COVID, whatnot, has really exposed that nice secret that so many people that we know in our inner network wished wasn't exposed, right? But
Yeah.
here we are. So,
Yeah.
Sock, anything else on the East End that you've been thinking about that you wanted to ask Eugenia?
Really, more so of a question, but for a buyer that is looking to buy out there, is there anything specific that they should be doing to prepare themselves to submit an offer? I'm sure countless people come to you saying, "Oh, I'm interested in buying in the Hamptons." Well, are you prepared to do so? Obviously, you know, pre-approval letter and whatnot, but what else can they do to, like, or how do you manage their expectations? Actually, let me ask it that way. What can a buyer do to be like a perfect buyer in your eyes?
Right, so the first step would be to get like a pre-approval letter if they're, you know, financing. But I don't see, I mean, there are still a handful that are financing, and then there are a handful that aren't.
Got it.
And as far as just making an offer generally, of course, buyers will always want to submit offers below asking, right? Do you recommend, for the Hamptons specifically, to never do that? Is it case by case specific?
Yeah, it's case by case, but if you ever go in with such a low offer too, especially if the home is like priced correctly, I mean, you're not taken seriously at all. So it's better to go in with a good offer so that, you know,
Just get
you
the
can
ball
start
rolling
the
on it.
dialogue
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and work something out.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, again, I think the East End there's gonna be more and more transactions, especially with that generation that you said that may have been in their homes since the 80s, 90s, whatever, now looking to maybe go into some type of condo or maybe move back to the city. So I anticipate deal flow to continue being strong out in the Hamptons. And how can the audience find your information? How can they reach out to you?
But yeah, so you could, well, if you have social media, you could follow me, Eugenia Valliades, Hamptons. Also, we could, I mean, maybe we could like post my email.
Yeah, we'll have her
address.
information under
Because it's a very long name.
It's a very easy name to pronounce and spell.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have
Eugenia.Valliades@Elliman.com.
Yeah, and for any questions on the legal side of deal making out on the East End, feel free to reach out to us. Again, my name's Mike from KI Legal. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time.
Take care.
Thank you.